Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we are looking at something pretty different, a syllabus.
Ooh,
I
interesting.
know, right? Not usually something that gets the heart racing. But this one's special. It's for a course called Strategic Management of Multinational Corporations, taught by Professor Shihmin Lo. And the reason we're diving into this is that it's absolutely packed with cutting-edge ideas, especially when it comes to AI.
Yeah, when I first saw this syllabus, I was really struck by how Professor Lowe has really integrated AI into the course. It's not just like a little add-on or a special topic. It's woven into the very fabric of the learning experience.
Right. It's like he's saying this is the future of business, so let's just dive right in. And he's really using these AI tools to help students become competent product managers.
Which is a pretty hot job these days.
Yeah, no kidding. It's one thing to teach about AI, but Professor Lowe is teaching with AI, which is a big difference. Like, he's preparing them to actually use these tools in their careers. So walk me through it. How is he actually using AI in this course?
Well, right from the start, you see students are using generative AI for things like brainstorming, research, even creating AI videos, like those ones with avatars.
Oh, yeah, like with DID.
Exactly,
Yeah.
DID. It's a platform that lets you create videos
Right.
using AI avatars. So instead of like a boring headshot on your LinkedIn profile,
Yeah.
you have this dynamic avatar. Speaking to recruiters, it's pretty eye-catching. And it shows how students are learning to use these tools for professional branding.
Okay, now that's definitely not something we were doing back in my day. I mean, it's brilliant. He's getting them to think about real-world application from day one.
Absolutely. It's giving them a competitive edge.
And there's this thing called CRF prompting techniques. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with that.
So CRF stands for conditional random fields. It's a type of machine learning model. And what Professor Lowe seems to be doing is teaching students how to write really specific prompts to get better results from AI.
Okay, so it's like anyone can type a question into ChatGPT,
Right.
but knowing how to get the most out of it, to get
Right.
the most nuanced and useful answers, that's a real skill.
Yeah, it's like he's going beyond the what of AI and delving into the how and why.
Smart, and it sounds like he's also emphasizing responsible AI use. I saw the AI use disclosure policy and the GenAI guideline.
Yeah, that's right there in the syllabus. So clearly ethics are a priority for him.
Good. Okay, so we've got this fascinating AI layer. But what about the course structure itself? Is it all high-tech, or are there some more traditional elements too?
Well, it's actually a really interesting blend. He uses a flipped classroom model, so students learn the basics beforehand through MOOCs.
Ah, MOOCs, for those of us who might not be familiar.
Right, massive open online courses, think platforms like Coursera. Students can take these courses from anywhere, and they often have lectures from leading experts from around the world.
Okay, got it.
In this case, Professor Lowe has selected MOOCs on entrepreneurship and corporate strategy from the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
So students are getting a taste of Ivy League learning, but with Professor Lowe as their guide, that's pretty cool. But what happens during the actual class time?
That's where the problem-based learning comes in. So students have this foundational knowledge from the MOOCs, and then they work in groups to tackle real-world business problems. And they use this tool called Coggle.
Coggle.
It's a mind mapping tool. So imagine like a digital whiteboard where everyone can contribute ideas, connect concepts, and build a visual representation of their solution.
I can see how that would be helpful, especially for brainstorming and problem solving.
Yeah, it's really interactive and engaging.
Okay, but this focus on product management throughout the course, that's what I find really interesting.
It's a smart move. I mean, product managers are so essential these days in pretty much every industry.
Yeah, for sure.
And Professor Liu is going beyond the textbook definitions here. He's having students use resources like LinkedIn
Of course.
to look at real job descriptions. And 104 HR Bank.
Oh, interesting. I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a popular job search platform in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also learning how to analyze company performance using publicly available data.
So it's like they're getting this real-world market research experience. They're learning how to size up the competition and understand the nuts and bolts of different companies.
Exactly.
It's like a business boot camp built into the syllabus.
Oh,
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more about how this all comes together in the course.
well, we haven't even gotten to the term project yet, which is where things get really interesting. Professor Lowe has them analyzing past student projects. And it sounds like a pretty intense process.
Hold on. Let's save the term project for part 2 of this deep dive. I want to make sure we have enough time to unpack all the details, I think, for now. We've given our listeners a good overview of what makes this syllabus so unique. From the AI integration to the flipped classroom model and the focus on real-world skills, it's a really impressive approach to business education.
Absolutely. Professor Lowe is pushing the boundaries here. And I think this is just the beginning of a much larger conversation about how technology is going to transform education in the years to come.
Yeah, I think we're just scratching the surface. But we'll have to save that for next time.
For now. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you back here soon.
See you then. Okay, so the term project. This is where everything comes together.
Yeah, from what I saw in this syllabus, it's not your typical research paper.
No, it's way more than that.
It's like presentations, videos, executive summaries. It's a lot.
It is. But it all starts with analyzing past student projects, which I think is a brilliant move.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's like they get to see what a successful project looks like,
Yeah.
what pitfalls to avoid, maybe even get some inspiration.
Right, it's like a behind-the-scenes look
Yeah.
at what works and what doesn't.
Exactly.
And then comes the proposal stage, where they have to lay out their chosen company or product, their analysis approach, their planned deliverables.
So they're really putting all those skills they've been honing into practice.
Absolutely.
They're acting as consultants, strategists, even marketers.
Exactly. And to make sure they stay on track, they have to submit regular progress reports. Oh, right. I saw that. So they're getting feedback throughout the process.
Yeah, it keeps them accountable, helps them refine their work,
It's like having a built-in accountability partner.
which we all need sometimes. But the real showstopper is the final presentation.
Oh, yeah.
The syllabus specifies a 15-minute video,
Wow.
complete with English and Chinese subtitles, and even avatars.
Wait, avatars, I kind of skimmed over that part. What do you mean avatars?
It's not entirely clear. But imagine a business presentation where the students are represented by these virtual characters.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if they get to choose their avatars.
Good question. But beyond the visuals, there's also a 5-page executive summary.
Ah, yes. The classic executive summary.
It's such a crucial skill for any business professional. Being able to take complex data
Yeah.
and distill it into a clear and concise message.
For busy decision makers.
Right, because no matter how brilliant your analysis is, if no one understands it, it's useless.
So they have to be good communicators, too. Okay, so it sounds like Professor Lowe is really preparing these students for the real world.
In every sense. Not just the content of their work, but how it's presented and communicated.
And all of this is happening within the context of a student-led online video competition.
Right.
So there's this extra layer of pressure.
And excitement.
Yeah, it's like their big debut on the world stage.
I like that.
Okay, but speaking of the world stage, there's this whole other aspect of the course that we haven't touched on yet. Self-directed learning.
Ah, yes. This is where Professor Lowe really encourages students to go beyond the syllabus, to explore their own interests.
And he's built in these bonus assignments where they can dive deeper into specific topics.
Yeah, it's about fostering that lifelong learning mindset, which is so crucial these days.
Absolutely. And I love that he includes a bonus assignment at the very end, where they have to create a 1-page CV for personal job applications.
That's great.
It's like the perfect bridge between the academic world and professional world.
It's like he's saying, okay, you've got all this knowledge, you've got these amazing skills, now go out there and show the world what you can do.
I love that. So Professor Lowe's not just a teacher, he's a mentor.
He really is. He's setting the bar high for educators everywhere.
This syllabus is a case study in innovative teaching.
I agree. It's blending cutting-edge technology with practical skills and a real focus on personal growth.
It makes you wonder, how many other Professor Lowe's are out there,
Right.
quietly revolutionizing their classrooms?
And inspiring the next generation of business leaders.
Okay, but let's bring it back to our listener for a second. What are the key takeaways here? Why should they care about this syllabus?
This deep dive has shown us how one professor is reimagining business education.
Using AI not just as a subject to be studied, but as a tool for learning, collaboration, even self-expression.
Right, and he's created this dynamic learning environment that goes way beyond lectures and textbooks.
Where students are actively engaged in problem solving, developing essential skills, and building their professional networks.
And that emphasis on self-directed learning. That's such a powerful message for all of us.
In a world where information is readily available, it's not enough to just passively absorb knowledge.
We need to be proactive, curious, and constantly seeking new ways to grow and evolve.
And Professor Lowe's syllabus is a great blueprint for how to do that.
It really is.
But hold on, we can't forget about that little note at the very end of the syllabus about Professor Lowe's own work.
Oh, right.
The demo videos, the articles published in the Harvard Business Review.
Yeah, what about that?
Let's discuss that in part 3 of this deep dive, along with some final thoughts on the future of education. So we were talking about Professor Lowe's own work, the demo videos and articles he's published,
Right.
even in the Harvard Business Review.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It is. It's like he's not just assigning readings and lectures, he's actually sharing his own expertise and insights.
Exactly. And the topics he covers are really diverse, from case study methods and learning strategies to his own research on corporate transformation.
So he's walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
I like that. He's a practitioner as well as a professor.
Right. It's like when you find out your favorite musician also produces music for other artists.
Oh, I see what you mean. It adds a whole other layer of respect for their talent.
Exactly. And those Harvard Business Review articles, those are a big deal.
Yeah, that's a top-tier publication.
So he's exposing his students
Oh.
to some really cutting-edge research and ideas.
And it shows them that he's actively engaged in the business world, not just stuck in academia.
It gives his teaching a certain credibility.
For sure.
You know, we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
have.
We've talked about AI, flipped classrooms, problem-based learning, Professor Lowe's just overall innovative teaching methods. But I keep coming back to this question, how is all of this going to change what it means to be successful in the future?
That is the big question, isn't it?
It is.
And I don't think anyone has a crystal ball. But we can look at the trends, like the ones we see in Professor Lowe's syllabus, and start to connect the dots. He's showing us one possible future for education.
Where technology and more traditional methods can actually work together to create a more dynamic and engaging learning experience.
And it's not just about the tools themselves. It's about how they're used to foster critical thinking, collaboration, and that self-directed learning that we keep talking about.
Absolutely.
I think the most successful people in the future will be those who are adaptable, curious, always willing to learn new things.
They'll be comfortable with technology, but not controlled by it.
Right.
They'll be able to use these tools in creative ways to solve problems and communicate effectively.
It's like Professor Lowe is creating a generation of mini Professor Loss.
Now there's a thought. Ready to go out and change the world.
I like it.
But let's bring it back to our listener one last time. If there's one thing to take away from this deep dive, it's that the future of education is already here.
It is.
It's happening in classrooms like Professor Lowe's, where innovation is embraced.
And the traditional boundaries of learning are being redefined.
So if you're feeling inspired, we encourage you to check out the links in the show notes to Professor Lowe's work, explore those supplementary materials. Who knows, you might just spark an idea that could change the world.
The possibilities are endless.
They are. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.